So we're going to start first with the redesigned Ignition Gateway. So we're going to look at the new web UI that's part of Ignition 8.3. So let me go over to that. So now you should be seeing my browser, and I have Ignition 8.3 installed on my machine. If you don't have it installed, it's very, very easy to go and download it. You can go to our website, inductiveautomation.com, go to the downloads page. You can download it for different operating systems, as well as, of course, we have the Docker container, and there's now Helm charts to deploy it in Kubernetes. Lots of ways to easily get Ignition 8.3 up and running. So this is the new web UI for Ignition 8.3. And for those of you who are familiar with Ignition 8.1 and before, the web UI will look a little bit different at first. And maybe to some it might be a little jarring because they're so familiar with the home status configure sections. But we really designed this to be much more intuitive, much easier to find what you're looking for, and to kind of have status and configuration all built into one place. So we're not doing it in two different sections. So let's kind of show first the different sections on the left-hand side. So the home section is where, of course, we launch our projects. We can launch prospective projects, the designer, and of course, vision projects. So we can go right there and see all of those and easily get to it. So it's meant to go and launch, and that's the page that's accessible without having to be logged in. Once you're logged in, of course, you can access all the rest of these sections. And we've broken up the configuration into platform level configuration. So these are things like gateway settings, defining projects, installing modules, security settings like setting up identity providers and users and security levels. That's all part of the platform area. And if I go here to connections, this is where we would connect to various things like MQTT, connect to devices, connect to databases, connect to service connectors like Kafka, as well as OPC servers that we want to get connected to. Then we have network, which is our gateway network, as well as, of course, there's networking settings at Ignition, like setting up the web server and SSL, as well as, of course, a lot of the EAM configuration, whether you're an agent or a controller. All that is part of the network area. Then we have services, and services are all the services that Ignition provides. You'll be able to set up the historian, set up tags, alarming, reports, and see the status of things like SFCs, transaction groups, and event streams. So all that in one place. And then, of course, lastly is the diagnostics, where we can see all of the diagnostics Ignition, the performance of Ignition, as well as the logs very easily in one place. Now, what's great about this new web UI is not only is it organized much better and much more intuitive, but now we have a beautiful search function. So if I want to go search for devices, I can go straight up here and I can go see the device settings as well as the connections. I can go straight to that area. And here you saw it brought me to connections and into that connections area. Now, another thing that's really nice about the web UI is we've brought together status and configure. So let me go up to a database connection particular. So I can actually see in one place, if there's any error connections, where our throughput is, the valid connections. I can go over here on each connection. I can view details of them and see that right here as doc that kind of expands out. If there was a fault, we can see the fault and click on it and get the message right here without having to leave the page. And so it's really just makes things a lot simpler to go and configure and see what's going on. As well, of course, all of these areas, the tables here are much more performant. If you have thousands and thousands of things, it will load very fast. And it also allows us, if we want to create new connections, to have a modal up here. So for example, if I want to create a new device connection, I can select my driver and set the configuration on there. And let me come out. And if I want to edit a connection here, I can edit and it brings it out the dock on the right. So just very easy to navigate around and very intuitive. In fact, once you start using it a lot more, you really see the benefits of it and start to really enjoy it. The last thing I want to show you in the web UI is under the platform. As there's a new section under overview that gives you a glance of your configuration in one view. And this is really exciting to me, especially if you have things like if you have errors. So let's go, for example, to a device. I'm going to create a device connection. I'm going to create a Modbus one here, and I don't have a Modbus device, so I'm just going to put localhost, and you're going to see, of course, that it is not connected. So if I go to platform, you can actually see under devices that I've got one error, and if I expand it, I can see that the Modbus there is disconnected, and I can click on the configure, go straight to that area, and I can start and easily then working with that config. So I'll go ahead and delete it, but it allows you to get to these places very quickly And so I really, really love this new web UI for Ignition 8.3. All right, so let's move on to the next topic in 8.3, which is the new built-in core historian that's based on QuestDB. So for that, we're going to be setting up one of our services, and that is the historian. And so I'm going to go here, historians. This is where we can create a historian. If you connect to a SQL database, of course, you can use the normal historian like you have forever, the SQL historian. But now there's a brand new core historian. Again, it's built on QuestDB. It's an open source time series database technology. It's embedded in process. It's inside of Ignition. So for people that are new to Ignition, it is so easy to get started with this, in that you don't have to install any databases separately. You can just start with the core historian, and this is a highly performant and optimized for high throughput storage engine that's right here on the same Ignition server. Now, of course, you could break it up with the gateway network and all of that, but this makes it so easy for people who want to log data, especially for the plant or that site, just very, very quickly and easily. So all I gotta do is select the new core historian. I'm gonna call it historian, and you can, of course, specify partition intervals. You can do pruning if you'd like to, or even archiving if you want to set up. Because it's embedded in process, we can do more than just pruning, which we do in SQL databases. Here we can actually archive data. You can set that all up. I'm gonna go ahead and just simply create that. Now I've got the new core historian set up. So that's just that simple. Then we open up our designer, and we can go over to any tag that we want. So let me go to my realistic tags over here. I'm gonna right click, edit these, and simply come down, turn on the historian, and select that historian. And I'll set the deadband style to discrete, and there we go. That data is now being logged to the new historian embedded. And if you wanted to, you can go into the file system. You can actually go and see the QuestDB database files. You cannot connect to the QuestDB directly. It's because it is embedded Ignition. However, the data, of course, is open. It's there, and of course accessible through all of our mechanisms within Ignition. So, for example, if we wanted to go to our charts, and I wanted to, bring in the data from that, very easy. Of course, we can get that data out. Let's go here, last 8 minutes, and there we can see the data logging. So this historian is like I said, very fast, very simple, and for a lot of new customers, this is all you need to get going with Ignition. Now, of course, if you want to install a database separately and still use that, that's still part of Ignition. We just now have this brand new piece that you can take advantage of. All right, so that covers the web UI and the new core historian.